Recently, the Amazon and Walmart repricer called Aura came out with a great new feature for their AI repricing software called Maven, and I'm excited to be able to implement it in my business and show you how you can as well. Now, I've used Aura for years at this point, and they have helped me dramatically increase my profits on a lot of my products because of the way that their AI repricing works. And this new feature is changing the way that I'm setting up all of my repricing strategies, and so I wanted to make you aware of it. Now, you can see here that they actually just added this aggression slider at the bottom of their AI strategy setup. And so whenever you're setting up an AI repricing strategy using Aura, you will want to make sure that you understand how this aggression slider works. And so that's what we're going to go through today, how you can set it up, as well as how I set up my workflows so that it's automatically handling things in the background for me as my age of inventory gets older and older for things that aren't selling. And so I want to make sure that I get more aggressive through time so that I can sell through and liquidate those products. And so I'm going to show you exactly how I'm doing that with Maven and Aura. Now, if you're interested in checking out Aura, you can actually check out their free trial at askjimmysmith.com/Aura. Obviously, this is a software that I've used for a long time, and so I highly recommend it. But ultimately, the free trial is always a great way that you can start to test out what repricer works best for you. If you're interested in other videos I've done on different repricers, you can check them out on my channel as well. Now, the great part about this slider is that it helps to ensure that instead of switching from an AI-focused strategy to a rules-based strategy, whenever you have to target the buy box a little bit more, whenever you want to liquidate, now you can just have it switch from one AI strategy that has a little bit more aggression in pricing versus another one that has maybe a little bit less aggression and wants to go for profits. And so what I recommend doing is for the first 30 to 45 days or so in your repricer, set up the aggression to be more profit focused. And then after that point, have the software automatically switch you over into a buy box focused strategy. And then after it hits about 60 or 90 days, I recommend switching that over to a liquidation strategy where you're much more aggressive so you can get your capital and your cash back. And so that is what has changed, is this aggression slider. Here is Aura's information on how you can start to use this. And so if you want to set up a conservative strategy, you're going to want to set up that slider to be between 0.0 to 0.2. And this is going to be best for your high margin products. It's going to be best for those profit focused opportunities. If you're somebody that sells above the buy box, for instance, you'll want to use the 0.0 to 0.2 strategy. Now, this is also going to be in situations where you have limited inventory and maybe you're fine waiting to get higher profits. You don't need to sell through that as fast. Or if you're somebody that works directly with brands and you're not dealing with as much competition, this is an excellent strategy for you as well. And so that's where they recommend for the conservative strategy. I also recommend using that conservative strategy just for the first 30 or so days in your inventory so that way you can focus on getting higher profits and then have the AI workflows, which I'm going to show you in a minute, switch you automatically more to a buy box focused or balanced strategy, as they call it here. Now, that balance strategy is going to be between the 0.4 to 0.6 in terms of the aggression slider there. And so that's going to be your standard products. That's probably what you see with most other repricers out there, is that it's going to be the standard. Just we're going to try to go for buy box for the majority of the time. Sometimes we're going to raise the price to try to get you a little bit of extra profit. And it's just going to play around a little bit more in that conservative strategy standpoint. Now, it's also for things that you have more steady inventory levels throughout the entirety of the product. So if you're just constantly able to reorder and restock those products, you don't have to worry as much about trying to extract as much profit on those. You want to make sure that you're constantly in the buy box rotation so that way you can have a little bit better competition there. And this is also for mixed competition environments and general e-commerce operations. It's definitely more of the run-of-the-mill standard aggression. The last one is the aggressive strategy, and this is for between the 0.8 to 1.0. Now, I personally have it very aggressive whenever I need to liquidate. Once it gets to 90 days or later, I want to get rid of those products to get the capital back. And so for me, I have it as aggressive as possible. And this is going to be much better either if you want to use it for high volume and low margin products, or if you're just trying to get rid of old inventory, that's where I'm going to recommend it. Now, additionally, they've got some more information here on kind of the differences between 0.0 to 0.1 and then 0.11 to 0.30. So you can really see all of the different use cases for how you want this aggression slider set up. So you've got maximum profit focused, you've got profit focused with moderate testing. Okay. And so if you want it to be above the buy box situation, typically that 0.0 to 0.1 is going to be best. Anywhere from 0.11 to 0.3 is going to be that profit focus. They're going to test different prices just to attempt to get you more profit, but ultimately it's going to be more aggressive in being profit focused, but it's not going to just stick you at a really high profit and leave you there. All right. So I personally would probably put my aggressive setting or between that 0.11 to 0.3, probably at that 0.2 amount. 0.31 to 0.5 is going to be a balanced approach between profit and sales, occasionally testing higher prices while staying competitive. And then if you do 0.5 to 0.7, it's going to be more sales focused with some profit testing. And then finally, the 0.71 to 0.9 is high sales velocity focus, where they're rarely testing higher prices and prioritizing the buy box. And the 0.91 to 1.0 is maximum buy box aggression. So it's not going to test higher prices. It's just going to purely focus on winning and keeping the buy box, which is great from a liquidation strategy standpoint. However, you do run the risk that it's going to start undercutting too much. So depending on how you want your prices to be set up, use this as a great guide for whenever you're setting up the aggression levels. And now, again, if you're interested in checking out Aura, you can do so at askjimmysmith.com/Aura. I highly recommend doing so. We're going to get into the workflows here in just a second. But to set this up, you'd want to make sure to go to your strategies in your Aura dashboard. You click on the add strategy button over there on the far right. And then after that, you're going to select your channel. For this particular case, we're going to be using Amazon. Walmart's a whole different animal. Try to set up your repricing right now anyway. And so whenever you select Amazon, you go here. And then I recommend you would have to use the Maven strategy if you want to use these sliders. Now, if you're somebody that wants it to go from an AI strategy to a rules-based strategy, I've made a video on that before on how you set up age of inventory workflows with Aura using that, because then you can target the buy box, you can do liquidation strategies, but it's much more focused on rules. I am moving much more towards the AI strategies. And so for this, we're going to select Maven. Now, after that, you're going to click continue. If you want to learn more a little bit on how their Maven AI works, go ahead and check out the videos and stuff that they give you on this page. And this is where you're going to set up your min and max price. Now, one of the things that they've recommended is putting your minimum ROI at 0% and just trusting Aura to find the maximum price point for your products. That's up to you. I personally have done this. I have gone all in trusting Maven AI with Aura's strategies here, and I've done it that way. If you aren't trusting of them just yet, then put a minimum ROI of 20%, 30%, 40%, whatever it is that you want it to be. But I personally have put it at 0, and I just allow the AI to do it. And I have found that it's helped me to increase my profit margins. And so that's been very important and impactful for me, because I love to give the AI some room to breathe, so to speak, and to test different strategies. And then that way, I just allow it as I get to the liquidation strategy to be able to truly sell out in the future. And so this slider actually gives me more control over knowing that it shouldn't drop my prices heavily unless it's getting to that liquidation strategy. So that's how I have it set up. That's up to you, though. You can always talk to their support team. They've got excellent support if you need any help in understanding how this works and why that would be the case. So I let Aura also calculate the optimal price point for me for the maximum price point. And so I actually don't set up maximum prices. I let Aura do that for me. Now, the next thing here is that this is where you get to the advanced setting, the aggression. And so again, check out the earlier slide that I showed you on the different aggression levels to see what you would want. This is for your main strategy that all of your new products would come through on. And so I would put it at about a 0.2 or a 0.1 probably for my buy box aggression. I would want it to be more focused on profitability. And then you can also, if you wanted to set up different strategies as you move through age of inventory workflows, I would actually put the buy box targeting one, the next one that it would move to, at about a 0.5 or 0.6. And then once you get to liquidations, I would set it up at 1.0. But you do have to select one of these for whatever strategy you're building. You can't select all three. So if you want 3 different strategies like I have, one for profit focused, one for buy box focused, and one for liquidation focused, then you're gonna have to do this 3 different times. The first one, you would set up the slider at one of those lower aggression levels. The second one, you're gonna set it up in the middle aggression level. And then the third one, you're gonna set it up at a higher aggression level, whether it's a 0.9 or a 1.0. Okay, so that's the 3 different scenarios. That's essentially what you were doing, is you were setting up the aggression level within the AI for those different strategies. Okay, and for me, the power here is that then you will set up workflows, which I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a second, to switch between the strategies based on your age of inventory. And so as your inventory gets older in your Amazon account, you're going to be able to have the repricer automatically switch your strategies to a different, more aggressive AI repricing strategy. And if there's newer inventory that comes in, then it's going to switch you back to a much less aggressive strategy and a much more profit focused strategy. That's why I love utilizing Aura in my business. Then after that, you're going to give it a name. Now I recommend, just having a regular structure for your first names. Maybe it's new ASINs, maybe it is low aggression, whatever you want to call it. And then the middle one would be called buy box Maven. The last one would be called liquidation Maven. And so that way you can see what you would call it. Now that buy box dominator 9001 trademark there, that is their pre-filled name for the strategy. I name my things a little bit different, so that way I know which one that I'm talking about here. Let's go ahead and set up those workflows. So we've set up the different strategies. We need to set up the more profit focused one, and then we need to set up the more buy box focused one, and then finally the liquidation one. And then after that, you can set up age of inventory workflows. I'm going to take you through this live right here. here. Okay, so let me remove this and add this. And so here is what it looks like to set up an age of inventory workflow. You can see here that I've already got this set up. Essentially, you want to set up a schedule. Within this schedule, you are going to set it up every hour and running 7 days a week. At least that's how I have it set up. Again, you can go through all of this and see what it is that you would want, but I want this to update as often as possible throughout each and every single day. I don't want it to take a day off. I don't want it to change different strategies on the weekends, because that's how I want my products to be repriced. Again, you can change it. You can change out all the weekdays. You can change out how often that you want this to happen. I do it as fast as I can, as often as I can, every hour, 7 days a week, for it to check through my age of inventory. Okay, so after I do that, we've got the schedule running each and every day, and then you can get into the workflow. Now, this is where you want to set up different filter blocks. Okay, so you can see that you have a filter block set up here by age of inventory. So this is going to be for the new items that I have. So if I were to click into this, we can see that it is filtered by more than 1 unit of inventory between 0 to 30 days. You could do between 0 to 30 and 31 to 60 if you wanted to keep a much more heavily profit focused workflow going through for your newer inventory. I do 0 to 30 days though, just because after 30 days, I want to start trying to get my capital back, and I focus more on the buy box and getting some of that profit back into my bank account, right? And so that's what I have it. I have it set at my most profit focused strategy right here, which you can see that is a Maven AI strategy. Now, after that, we want to set up a different filter block. And so we're going to do anything with more than 1 unit of inventory between 31 to 60 days. Okay. So if it goes, let's say I've got 10 units of inventory that are at 10 days old, and then I have 1 unit of inventory that's 35 days old, it's going to set up my strategy based on this, because I have more than 1 unit of inventory at Amazon that's between 31 to 60 days old. And so it's going to switch the strategy to this much more buy box focused strategy. Now, in this case, I've still got it set up on my rules based. So what I would do is I would come in and I would select my buy box Maven strategy, and then that will have it switch over to the Maven AI strategy that we just set up because of the new aggression slider. I don't have to use a rule based repricer anymore. I can actually have it do AI based on the aggression. And so that's what I'm going to have that set up as. And so once though I run out of that 1 item of inventory between 31 to 60 days old, because my other inventory is 15 days old, it's going to switch me back to this profit focused strategy and change my repricing based on that. That's why I love these workflows, and that's why I love utilizing these Maven AI strategies. And then finally, the filter block here, the last one is going to be anything with more than 1 unit of inventory. Again, if you want it more than 5 units or 2 units, you can set that up. But for me, anything with more than 1 unit of inventory between 61 to 365 days, you'd want to select all of these. That is what's going to be the liquidation strategy. Once you sell out of this older inventory, then it will switch you back to these other strategies as you have inventory in there that's newer. And so I've got that set to liquidation. Again, I'm going to come through, and instead of it being a rule-based liquidation, I'm going to do that liquidation Maven with that much higher aggression. And so that is the point of this. Now, what Aura is going to do is it's going to switch through these different strategies based on how old my inventory is, which helps me from a cash flow and capital perspective. And that's so important. Amazon is a cash flow business. It is very dependent on how fast you can cycle through money and how fast you can deploy it to other products that are going to make you money, because that's going to help you to grow your business exponentially, essentially. If you just buy products and you let them sit at Amazon, you're not going to be making any money. I don't care how much profit you end up waiting for 6 months later. For the most part, it's going to be better to take a little bit less profit, turn that over 4 times in those 6 months than to wait for one sale to happen, unless you're doing some sort of a buy and hold strategy or something like that. But ultimately, this is how I have my Aura set up to just automatically move through those workflows and become more aggressive through time. So that way I can get the buy box, I can get my products sold and get my cash flow back. Again, if you're interested in checking out the Aura repricer and checking out their free trial, you can go to askjimmysmith.com/Aura. If you're looking for a free community that you can join as well, that has over 80,000 members as of the time of this recording, you can head over to bit.ly/MST group. That link will be below and in the description. And finally, if you're somebody that's doing over $5,000 per month in sales and you're interested in being a part of my community, my higher level community with over 100 different systems, masterminds, and so many other things that we have in that community, you can check out the Legends community at askjimmysmith.com/legends. Now, I hope this video helped you and blessed you. You have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.